This one says, can you give a brief explanation on what the siege of Jericho was about? All right. So the siege of Jericho, what do we read about that, brothers? In Joshua. All right. Get Joshua chapter 6. A brief explanation of what the siege of Jericho was about. So we were coming out of Egypt, right? And we dwelt in the wilderness for 40 years. At this time, we're getting ready to move into the promised land that was given to us. But remember what was said in Exodus 23, where the Lord said he's going to send the angel before us to keep us in the way. That means that y'all know what I'm talking about? Go to Exodus chapter 23 real quick. All right, Exodus chapter 23, verse 20.
The book of Exodus, chapter 23, verse 20.
Come on.
Behold, I send an angel before thee to keep thee in the way and to bring thee into the place which I have prepared.
So the place that God had prepared was the promised land of Canaan. But guess what? People dwelt there. People was dwelling there. All right, so we had to, and there was wars on the way. So on our way to conquer Canaan, we had to go to war. All right. And we weren't warring by ourselves. We had the angel with us. Who was the angel? Christ. We had Christ with us, all right? So this is a part of that in Joshua. We still have Christ with us at this time. Moses has passed on, and Joshua is our leader during this time, all right? So go to Joshua chapter 6 and read verse... read 5 and 13. Okay, Joshua chapter 5
verse 13. And it came to pass, when Joshua was by Jericho, that he lifted up his eyes and looked, and behold, there stood a man over against him with his sword drawn in his hand. And Joshua went unto him and said unto him, art thou for us or for our adversary?
Joshua was ready. He was like, look, you with us or you against us? Which one is it? Come on.
And he said, nay, but as a captain of the host of the Lord.
Who is he?
As captain of the host of the Lord.
He said, I'm Christ. Come on.
Am I now come? And Joshua fell on his face to the earth and did worship and said unto him, what saith my Lord unto his servant?
Right. So remember, the angel is going to come to keep thee in the way. This is a part of that. So Christ was with us when we was warring with these nations. All right. So we went to Jericho. We sent spies, right, to go look at the land. That's when you had the sister, what's her name? Rahab, right, who we spared when we went into the land. We destroyed it, right? But before we destroyed it, what did we do? We walked around it 7 times, right, for 7 days. Is that what we did? 7 times for 7 days? What verse is that?
I think it's verse 5.
Jump up to chapter 6, verse 3, or down to chapter 6,
Joshua
verse
chapter
3.
6 and verse 3. And ye shall come past the city, all ye men of war, and go round about the city once. Thus shalt thou do 6 days.
So we did it 7 times, or we did it 6 times. We did it 7 times, and we did it 1 time each day. And on the 7th day, y'all know what happened? The walls fell down. All right, and we took over Jericho. All right, so that's the explanation of what's going on. So you got to kind of understand the history of why we're going through there in the first place, because we on our way to the promised land that was given to us. Now, Jericho today is what? Babylon. It's USA. It's Babylon the Great. That's what that is. It was symbolic of that. Read verse 20.
Joshua chapter 6 and verse 20. So the people shouted when the priest blew with the trumpets.
How we blow the trumpets today? Cry aloud, spare not. Lift up thy voice like a trumpet. That's what we do today, right? Come on.
And it came to pass, when the people heard the sound of the trumpet, and the people shouted with a great shout, that the wall fell down flat, so that the people went up into the city, every man straight before him, and they took the city.
What are the saints going to do? What are the saints going to do? All right, so it's symbolic of what? Taking the kingdom. All right. So that's what Jericho is symbolic of us being in Babylon the Great. All right. And the same way that we gonna shout and teach God's word, or the same way we followed God's instruction. We walked around the walls of Jericho each day, just like we were instructed to. We shouted loud, just how God told us to. Same thing we doing here in Babylon. And what's going to happen? These walls is going to fall down. We're going to crumble these walls just by our voice, just by blowing our trumpets. The same way we did back then is what we're going to do right now, all right? So the seventh day is when the walls fell down, right? So you know the Sabbath is the seventh. That's when we get our rest. So it's all symbolic of the kingdom. So every week we laboring to enter into the rest. That's symbolic of us laboring to enter into the kingdom. It's going to take us more than 7 days, right? But each week we're reminded that we're going to work hard, and at the end, we're going to get a reward. It's the same thing, all right? So that's a brief explanation of what the Siege of Jericho was about.
What is a nation?
Nation is men leading by example. Nation is family. Nation is community. Nation is children with role models.